So you're looking to do some kind of video, but you don't have a lot of money for lighting. Well, that doesn't have to be an excuse. You don't want a video like this where you just light a person with overhead lighting, because I really don't look that good. Now, I might not look much better with lighting on, but the whole production value will look a lot better. And let me show you how effective good lighting could be at a low cost. So let's take a look at how easy and inexpensive it is to come up with this kind of production value you're seeing here. Believe it or not, this was all done with under $75 worth of lights that you can buy at Walmart or Home Depot. The first lights we're using is on this side of the face here, which is our main light. It's called a key light. And this is done with a quartz halogen work light on a stand. And to give it a little more oomph, we put two more clip-on spotlights that cost us about $3 each. So we have a 500 watt work light, two 150 watt spotlights. Now normally if you did that and you saw it on the side of my face, it would be these big harsh shadows. In order to diffuse the light, we went into the shower department, the home decorating department of the store, and we bought a shower curtain. Folded it over twice, and now we have a nice diffused look because the shower curtain is hung up with a couple stands right in front of the lights, and it makes them less harsh. Now how do we get a little light on this side of my face? Well, we went to the automotive department and we bought a car reflector. These are the kind that you see in the windows all the time of cars, and it gives it a little less of a shadow on this side of my face. Now, how do we get the little edge shot around my hair? Well, that's a hair light, and we didn't want to spend a lot of money, so we went to the hardware department and we bought a $9 quartz halogen clamp 35 watt light. Let's take a look at it now. Here it is, and we just put a little stand. And now these stands are inexpensive photographic stands that cost $15, $18. You can use music stands, or later in the tape we'll show you about just using plumbing pipe and screwing it into little flanges and making a base for $4 or $5. So everything can be done very inexpensively, and you can get a professional looking lighting setup without having to spend a lot of money. If you were to look at this shot on television, you wouldn't have guessed that way in the background we just have a spread out sheet with stage tape over it making a checkerboard pattern, or you wouldn't have guessed that that's a $20 quartz halogen work light shining in the background. You probably wouldn't have guessed that we're using a $5.40 car reflector, or we're using a shower curtain to diffuse the light. So it's all about creativity, and you're going to have to spend a little time lighting. You can't spend 5 or 6 minutes. You're going to have to spend probably 12 or 14 minutes. Your first time, you have to spend 25 or 30 until you get it down. But the nice thing is you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a great look. Okay, let's take a look at just how easy this lighting setup is. I've turned on the hair light so we don't see any just total black in the picture, and you can see that it has this nice edge around my hair, and we urge you when you're setting up a hair light really to start with that one first in terms of getting the edging around the hair, because sometimes it's the hardest to detect. But we're going to start with our main light now after the hair light, which is our key light, which is comprised of 3 lights, and they're shown through a shower curtain. So Steve, if you can please turn on the quartz halogen 500 watt through the shower curtain, and go ahead and add 2 of the 150 watts and another one. There we go. So now we're filling this, what's called a key light. You always hear about key, fill light, and backlight. And so we have the backlight and we have the key light. And now Steve is going to put up our reflector. This saves you a little bit of money. Instead of shining a light from over here, we're going to have the good old sunshade reflector mounted on a stand, and Jeff is our cameraman, and Jeff's going to give direction as to how Steve should tilt this. So
right there's good.
Okay, right here.
Yeah,
so
good.
Generally speaking, and I'm guessing this is right, Jeff, this side of my face is not brightly lit as this side because obviously it's a reflection, and that's what you want. It's called a ratio. Sometimes they call it 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 depending on how dark this is. You don't need to know any of that. You just need to know that your main light is going to cast a shadow on the other side of your face to give a little depth. And you don't want the shadow too deep unless you're looking for a certain effect. So you use a second light, which is called a fill light. In this case, it's a reflector, but you can bounce a light off a wall. It can sometimes be an overhead light. In this case, it's a reflector, our second point of light. Our third point of light, of course, is the inexpensive light, hair light in the back of my head. And now we'll work on the next point of light, which is a fourth, which would be called four-point lighting. So you have your key, your fill in your back, and this is your key, fill, and hair, and this is your back or way back light or background light. And I don't want to get too much into technical terms. It's just important that you know that you have these 4 lights. So here we have the light on, and you can see the purple light shining through onto the sheet that's stretched over a little frame. And to make a frame up, you can make it out of wood or anything. It's expensive or as fancy as you want to get. You can buy whole frame and stand systems starting at about $120. Or you can make one out of wood, or you can make one out of plumbing pipe. The neat thing is there's no excuse for you not to get started with video lighting because it's so inexpensive. Let's now take a look at our ugly behind the scenes view of our lighting setup. It's very inexpensive, as we talked about. We have the 500 watt quartz halogen with 2 of the normal floodlights clamped onto the side. They're going through a shower curtain that's folded over twice, giving us the diffusion we need. And then there's the main chair I was sitting in with the lamp behind it, giving me a hair light. Now the camera is back here. You can move it closer if you needed, but we wanted to add the background slightly out of focus. So you have your camera, and then off to the side you have your soft light, which is about 4 feet away from our subject, in which case it was me, and then off to an angle. And then we can turn off the light. And then, Steve, if you'll turn on the light in the background, this is how we got our creative purpley red color to the back. And we used a pop-out diffuser, but you can just use a regular bed sheet. And this is the light shining on it. There's a little gel over a 500 watt light. And let's look at in the other direction. You have your shower curtain, and then we forgot to mention over here the reflector. And what this reflector does, it's just a car reflector. It bounces some of the light from our shower curtain softbox onto the other side of my face. And then we walk back here, and that's the camera. And this is the whole inexpensive setup for under $75 to get yourself a great looking shot.